The first thing people saw was the convoy. 3 black SUVs rolled to a slow stop under the Oshodi Bridge, their headlights cutting through the wet night. The rain had just ended, but water still dripped from the concrete above, forming small rivers that ran along the dirty ground. Street boys, traders, and tired commuters turned to look. Convoy? Here? At the underbridge? The back door of the middle SUV opened. A woman stepped out of the underbridge slowly. Her ash gown was torn, her hair was messy and soaked. Her feet were wet from standing too long in dirty water. Just minutes before, everyone had walked past her like trash on the road. Now men in black suits rushed forward and bowed their heads. "Madam Sonia," one of the guards said respectfully, "we are sorry we delayed." The people watching gasped. Sonia? The same homeless woman they had ignored. She turned, and in front of everyone, she gently held the hand of a man whose clothes were even worse than hers. His yellow t-shirt was torn and stained with mud. His beard was overgrown and tangled. His hair was rough and wild. He looked like someone the world had thrown away. But she held him like he was the most precious thing on earth. "Sonia, I don't understand," he whispered. The guards opened the back door for them. The crowd stared, mouths open, trying to understand what they were seeing. Why would a rich woman hold a homeless man's hand? Why would she lead him into a billionaire's convoy? Sonia looked up at him with soft eyes. "Benjamin," she said quietly, her voice shaking, "your kindness tonight has changed everything." He blinked, confused, his heart racing. Changed what? Who was she really? And why did every guard keep calling her Madam? Before he could ask, Sonia smiled sadly, squeezed his hand, and together, in their dirty, wet clothes, they both stepped into the back seat of the SUV as the door closed. The engines roared. The convoy began to move, and the crowd at Oshodi Underbridge was left with one burning question. Who exactly was this woman? Hours earlier, the same woman did not look like anyone important at all. Sonia stood alone under the Oshodi Bridge, her whole body shaking. Her tattered ash gown clung to her skin, soaked through from the heavy rain that had just ended. Her hair was scattered and wet, sticking to her face. Water dripped from the bridge above, splashing into the puddles around her bare feet. Cars rushed past on the main road, yellow Danfo buses honked loudly. Keki riders shouted at passengers, but nobody really saw her. Her teeth chattered as the cold wind blew against her wet skin. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to stop the shaking. "Please, can someone help me?" she called out quietly as a young man in a clean shirt walked past with his backpack. "Please, can you at least give me your jacket?" He did not even look at her. He simply walked by, eyes fixed on his phone, as if she was invisible. Sonia swallowed the lump in her throat. Another man in a suit approached, holding an umbrella. She stepped toward him, her voice weak. "Please, sir. I'm very cold. Can you just help me? Even with your jacket. I will be fine after." He paused, looked her up and down, eyes resting on her dirty gown, his face hardened. "I don't have time for drama," he muttered, walking away. Sonia's chest hurt. Drama. Was that what people thought pain was? She watched as a couple passed, a man and a woman laughing as they held hands, sharing one small umbrella. Sonia raised her hand, trying again. "Please, just help me call a taxi," she begged. "Or just stay with me for a moment. The woman pulled her boyfriend closer, as if Sonia might steal him. Let's go," she whispered sharply. "These people can be dangerous." These people. Sonia's eyes filled with tears. No one knew that just this morning, those same hands begging for help had signed a billion-naira contract. No one knew that the woman standing in a torn gown, shivering under the bridge, was the CEO of one of Lagos's fastest-growing tech companies. Nobody knew that Sonia Benson, billionaire single mom, was standing right in front of them, pretending to be poor. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. This was her choice. This was her test. She had told herself she was ready. But standing here now, cold, wet, ignored, her heart suddenly felt small. Her mind went back to earlier that morning. In Banana Island, the rain sounded soft and gentle as it tapped the large glass windows of Sonia's bedroom. Inside, the room was warm, the bed was big and soft. The chandelier sent golden light over the cream walls. On the bedside table, her latest iPhone buzzed with another message. "Madam, 3 more men have sent in proposals," her personal assistant Tori had said over a video call. "All of them are very successful. One owns a construction company, one is in oil and gas. The last one is from a royal family in the East." Sonia had smiled politely, but her eyes were tired. "How many is that this month?" she asked. Tori counted silently. 9 ma. 9 men, all with expensive cars, all with big titles. None of them knew how many nights she cried alone after putting her daughter to sleep. None of them knew how hard she had fought to build her company from nothing. None of them knew how her ex-husband had tried to use her, lie to her, and destroy her. They only knew her money. They loved the power, the lifestyle, the name, not her. "Tell them I'm busy with work," Sonia had said softly, ending the call. She walked to the window and looked out over the calm estate. Her heart ached. She did not just want a man, she wanted a friend, a partner. Someone who would reach out to her when she had nothing to offer. Someone who could see her, even when she looked like nothing. Her daughter Eliana had walked in then, 15 years old, wearing an oversized t-shirt and leggings, her hair in a messy bun. "Mum?" she asked, climbing onto the bed. "Are you okay?" Sonia forced a smile. "I'm fine, baby. Just thinking." "About love again," Eliana teased gently. "You always look sad when they send you suitors." Sonia laughed, but her eyes were shiny. "Maybe," she admitted. "I'm just tired of people who come for the wrong reason." Eliana frowned, thinking. Then her eyes brightened. "What if you didn't look rich?" she asked. "What if you went out as a normal person, or even poor? Then you would see who is truly kind." Sonia stared at her daughter. The idea was wild, dangerous. But something in her heart jumped. "What if I do?" she whispered. "What if I pretend to be poor?" Eliana blinked. Wait. But by afternoon, Sonia had already made up her mind. She had changed into an old ash gown she kept from her university days. She removed all her jewelry. She tied her hair in a rough bun and messed it up with her fingers. No makeup, no perfume. She took only a small amount of cash, left her phone with Eliana, and told the driver she wanted to move alone that evening. When the storm started in the evening, she chose Oshodi Underbridge on purpose. If someone could show kindness in a place like that, then maybe it was real. Now, standing under that same bridge, shaking in the cold, Sonia wondered if she had made a mistake. Nobody helped. Nobody looked twice. Maybe Eliana's idea was foolish. Maybe there was no such thing as true kindness anymore. Her legs had started to feel weak when she heard footsteps slowing down beside her. She did not look up at first. People had slowed down before, only to insult or ignore her. Then a soft male voice spoke. "Madam," the stranger said gently, "you are shaking." Sonia looked up. A dark-skinned man stood in front of her. His yellow t-shirt was torn and stained with mud. His jeans were dirty. His beard was thick and tangled. His hair looked like it had not seen a comb in months. He looked like someone life had beaten again and again. But his eyes were kind. Before she could say a word, he slowly removed his tattered brown coat, stepped closer, and gently wrapped it around her shoulders. "Please," he said quietly, "sit with me on that wooden bench so you can be strong before you go." Sonia's eyes widened in shock. Her heart stopped for a moment. No car, no title, no camera, no benefit, just pure, simple kindness. She turned slowly to look at him. And in that second, something in her life quietly shifted. Sonia sat on the wooden bench at the far corner of the underbridge, still wrapped in Benjamin's tattered coat. The coat smelled of rain, smoke, and long days of struggle, yet somehow, to her, it felt warmer than the expensive blankets in her mansion. Benjamin wiped rainwater from his face with the back of his hand. Even that small gesture showed how tired life had made him. But his eyes, those kind, gentle eyes, never left her. He watched her shivering with real concern, not curiosity or judgment. "Are you feeling a bit better?" he asked softly. Sonia nodded. "Yes, thank you." Her voice was small but sincere. No one had asked her that question all evening. No one had even looked at her long enough to notice she was cold. Benjamin sat down slowly beside her, leaving a respectful space between them. Water dripped from the bridge above, landing softly on the wet ground around their feet. Danfo buses rushed past on the road, their headlights sweeping across the bridge pillars. For a moment, they both sat in silence. Then Sonia turned to him. Why did you help me? You don't even know me." Benjamin breathed out slowly, his chest rising as if he was carrying years of pain. "Because I know what it feels like," he said, "to need help, and have the whole world walk past you." Sonia blinked. His words held so much truth, so much weight. "Tell me," she whispered, "if you don't mind." He looked down at his muddy hands for a moment, as if deciding where to begin. Then he spoke. "My name is Benjamin Okafor," he said. "Once upon a time, I was doing well." Sonia looked at him, surprised. Nobody looking at him now would imagine he once had a life. "I wasn't always like this," he continued. "I was a top software engineer in South Africa. Worked for a big tech company. They trusted me. They even planned to make me a team lead." His voice cracked a little. Sonia could hear the pride he used to have. "But one day," he said, swallowing, "my wife placed illegal drugs in my office bag. She worked with some people and framed me. They said I was transporting substances through company channels." Sonia gasped quietly. "I was arrested at work," he continued, "in front of everyone. They checked my bag and found everything. They didn't even let me explain. I was sentenced." The rain dripping from above suddenly felt louder. 2 years, he whispered. "I spent 2 years in prison thinking of my daughters, hoping my wife would visit. She never did." Sonia felt her chest tighten. "She didn't visit, not even once." Benjamin shook his head. "When I came out, everything I had was gone. She sold my house, my car, even my parents' land. Then I heard she traveled to Europe with my girls." His voice softened to a hollow silence. "I went to the police," he said, "but they couldn't do anything. I was deported back to Nigeria with nothing." Sonia covered her mouth with her hand. Benjamin continued, "My parents fell sick when I returned. I had no money to take them to the hospital. They died in my arms." Sonia's eyes filled with tears, her throat tightening. He had lived through storms no one deserved. "I lost myself," Benjamin whispered. "Lost my fight, lost my hope. That's how I ended up here, under this bridge." Sonia pulled the coat closer around herself, not because she was cold, but because her heart hurt. "And after everything," she said softly, "you still chose to be kind." Benjamin looked at her with tired eyes, but there was a small smile on his lips. "Kindness," he said slowly, "is the only thing life couldn't take from me." A tear slid down Sonia's cheek. Before she could speak, Benjamin suddenly stood. "Wait here," he said quickly. "Let me get you something warm to drink." "Benjamin, no. Wait." But he was already running toward a small makeshift stall where an older woman sold hot pap in plastic cups. Sonia watched him speak to the woman, shake his head, dig into his own pocket, then hand her the last little money he had. He returned with the warm cup and placed it in Sonia's hands like it was something precious. "I don't have much," he said shyly, "but this should help." Something inside Sonia broke. She stared at the cup. A homeless man. A man who had lost everything, was giving her what little he had left. Tears blurred her vision. "Benjamin," she whispered, "you have no idea what you've just done." He laughed nervously. "It's just pap." "No," Sonia said, shaking her head. "It's not." She slowly reached into the torn folds of her gown and pulled out her hidden phone. Her real phone. The newest iPhone. Benjamin froze. Sonia unlocked it and dialed. "David," she said, "bring the convoy, now, Oshodi Underbridge." Benjamin stared at her as if she had suddenly turned into a different person. Convoy, driver, iPhone. Before he could ask a single question, the sound of powerful engines filled the air. Bright headlights swept under the bridge. 3 black SUVs rolled to a stop. People turned, whispered, pointed. Benjamin looked at Sonia, completely lost. "Who are you?" Sonia stood up slowly, her wet gown clinging to her legs. She wiped her tears gently. "My name," she said softly, "is Sonia Benson." Benjamin blinked. "Benson? As in Yes, she said, the CEO of Benson Tech, and a billionaire single mother. The street went silent. What? Benjamin whispered. Sonia took his shaking hands in hers. And your kindness, she said, has opened a door you never expected. Before he could say a word, the guards bowed. The car door opened, and Sonia gently pulled Benjamin forward, straight into a world he never imagined. Benjamin had never stepped into a vehicle like this before, not even back in the days when he was a respected engineer in South Africa. The moment he entered the SUV, he felt as if the air changed. The seats were soft black leather, the inside smelled of luxury, and the warm lights glowed softly above him. But Benjamin didn't notice any of that. He was too stunned to even blink. Sonia sat beside him, still wearing his tattered coat, her wet gown clinging to her like she had survived a storm, which she had. She wiped her face gently while the guards closed the door. Benjamin finally whispered, "Sonia, I don't understand any of this." Sonia gave a small smile, one filled with sadness and relief. "You weren't supposed to understand yet. Not until tonight showed me who you really are." The convoy began to move, its engines humming smoothly as they left the underbridge behind. People outside watched with wide eyes, still shocked by the sight of a billionaire-looking woman holding the hand of a man who looked like life had washed him into the streets. Inside the car, Benjamin swallowed hard. You're a billionaire?" he asked again quietly. "Yes," Sonia said calmly. "I run a tech company in Lagos, Benson Tech." Benjamin's eyes widened. He had heard that name before, many times. Benson Tech was one of the fastest-growing tech companies in Nigeria. Their innovations were known across Africa. "And you came dressed like that?" he whispered. "You were alone, in the rain?" Sonia nodded, looking down at her hands. "I needed to know the truth." "The truth about what?" "About people," she answered. "About love. About kindness." Benjamin frowned, confused but listening. "I was tired," she continued softly, leaning back against the seat. "Tired of men who only wanted my money. Tired of pretending to be strong every day. Tired of being admired, but never truly seen." She looked up at him. "Eliana, my daughter, gave me the idea. She told me to go out as a poor woman to see who would help me, without knowing who I really am." Benjamin stared at her, shocked. "So, tonight was a test?" "Yes," Sonia whispered, "and I passed." She smiled gently. "You didn't just pass. You showed me more kindness than I expected." Benjamin shook his head, overwhelmed. "Sonia, I didn't do anything special. You were cold. Anyone would have—" "No," Sonia cut in, her voice suddenly firm. "Not anyone." She remembered the people who walked past her without blinking, the woman who moved her boyfriend away, the men who refused to even look at her, the fear, the loneliness. "You were the only one who stopped," she said, "the only one who didn't see me as a burden." Benjamin's chest rose and fell slowly. Kindness should not depend on what a person has. Sonia nodded, touched. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen. They sat in silence for a moment before Benjamin whispered, "I still can't believe this is happening." "Me? In a billionaire's car?" Sonia chuckled softly. "Believe it. Tonight changed my life too." The gates of Sonia's mansion slowly opened, revealing a breathtaking compound. The driveway was lined with palm trees and glowing pathway lights. The mansion itself was huge, white walls, tall glass windows, and golden lights glowing from inside. Benjamin stared with his mouth slightly open. This is your house," he whispered, too stunned to look away. Sonia smiled. "Yes. I don't think I should enter." She turned to face him. "And why not?" "I'm like this." He looked down at his dirty clothes, torn shirt, muddy jeans. "Sonia, I don't belong in this world." Sonia shook her head gently. "You don't belong under a bridge either," she said softly. "Come inside." The door opened. Two guards bowed. "Welcome, Ma," they said. Benjamin hesitated, but Sonia held his hand. And that single touch was enough to guide him forward. They stepped into the shining marble living room. A young girl in a big t-shirt and pajama shorts came running down the stairs. "Mum!" she cried, then froze when she saw Benjamin. "Who is—" Sonia smiled. "Eliana, meet Benjamin. He helped me tonight." Eliana stared, then smiled gently. "You helped my mum?" "Thank you." Benjamin nodded shyly. "You're welcome." Sonia turned to the guards. "Prepare a shower for him, and clothes. He'll stay the night." Benjamin froze. I can't stay here." "Yes, you can," Sonia said. "You deserve a warm bed for once." He did not argue again. When Benjamin stepped out of the bathroom an hour later, he looked like a different man. His beard was neatly trimmed. His hair was cut. He wore a clean white shirt and soft grey trousers. He kept touching the shirt nervously, as if afraid it didn't belong to him. Sonia walked into the hallway and gasped softly. "You look amazing," she whispered. Benjamin blushed, a deep, unexpected blush. "I hardly recognize myself." They walked into the living room, where Eliana was waiting with 2 plates of warm food. "Mom," she said excitedly, "can he sit with us?" Sonia nodded. Benjamin looked unsure, but he sat gently beside them. Eliana turned to him. "You know, you kind of look like someone who works in tech." Benjamin raised his brows. "I used to." "Really?" Her eyes widened. "Where?" "Sonia will explain," Benjamin said quickly, not wanting to sound like he was bragging. Sonia placed her hand over his. "I want you to tell her," she said softly. "Your story matters." He looked at her, eyes softening. He hadn't heard those words in years. When dinner ended, Eliana stretched and went upstairs. "Good night, Mom." "Good night, Benjamin." "Good night," he replied gently. Sonia turned to him. "Benjamin," she said quietly, "I need to ask you something." He looked at her. She took a deep breath. "Would you come with me to my company tomorrow?" Benjamin blinked, confused. "Why?" "Because," she said with a hopeful smile, "you deserve another chance, and I think you're exactly what my company needs." Benjamin stared at her, shocked, heart pounding. "Sonia, are you saying—" But before he could finish, Sonia smiled softly. And the entire direction of his life hung on that answer. Benjamin barely slept. He lay on the soft guest room bed, clean, warm, gentle on his tired back, and felt like the world had been flipped upside down. He kept staring at the ceiling long after midnight, whispering to himself, "This can't be real. This can't be happening to me." In all the years he had spent under the bridge, he had prayed for many things: food, safety, a dry bench on rainy nights. But he had never prayed for anything like this. A second chance, a real second chance. When morning came, sunlight fell through the tall window, warming the room. For the first time in years, Benjamin woke up not to the honking of buses, not to cold rain dripping on his body, not to the fear of thieves stealing his few belongings, but to peace. He sat up slowly, touched the soft duvet and shook his head. "God, why me?" A soft knock came at the door. "Benjamin?" Sonia's gentle voice floated in. He stood quickly. Yes, Ma. I mean Sonia." She stepped in with a warm smile. She had dressed in a simple but classy navy blouse and black trousers. She looked every bit like a CEO again, not the soaked, trembling woman from the night before. "Good morning," she said. "Good morning," he replied shyly. "I hope you slept well." Benjamin hesitated. "I slept on a real bed." That alone felt like a miracle. Sonia's smile softened. "Good. You deserve rest." She handed him a neatly pressed outfit, light blue shirt, dark trousers, and polished shoes. "Get ready," she said. "We're going to Benson Tech." Benjamin froze. Are you sure?" he asked. "I don't want people to think I'm forcing myself into your life." "You're not," Sonia said gently. "You're walking into the life you deserve." His heart swelled with emotion he couldn't name. He nodded slowly, and Sonia left the room so he could prepare. The convoy rolled out of Banana Island with smooth precision. Benjamin sat in the back seat beside Sonia, still stunned, still overwhelmed. He looked out the window, watching Lagos fly past. Lecky traffic, hawkers dancing between cars, bright billboards, busy roadside shops. But everything looked different today. Brighter, hopeful, maybe because for the first time in years, he had hope too. Sonia was on a call with her team, giving instructions about meetings and a new app update. Her voice was calm, confident, sharp, yet every once in a while she glanced at Benjamin as if making sure he was okay. He caught her looking once. Their eyes met. She smiled. He quickly looked away, embarrassed, but his heart was beating fast. When the convoy turned into the Benson Tech headquarters, a tall, glass-covered building shining under the sun, Benjamin's breath caught. "This place," he whispered, "it looks like something from a dream." "Welcome to my world," Sonia said proudly. "And maybe your new world too." Benjamin stared at her. "What if people judge me because of how I look?" he asked quietly. Sonia placed her hand over his. "I run this company," she said softly. "They will respect the man I choose to bring inside." For the first time, he believed her. The moment Sonia walked through the glass entrance, staff stood. "Good morning, Ma." "Welcome, Ma." "You look beautiful today, Ma." They were used to seeing her powerful, elegant, in control. But when Benjamin walked in behind her, whispers filled the lobby. "Who is that? Why is Madam walking with him? He doesn't look like a visitor." Sonia ignored the whispers. She turned to Benjamin. "Walk with me." And he did. On the top floor, she led him into a bright conference room. Screens lined the walls, showing lines of code, project charts, and software updates. A team of engineers sat around a long table. They stood immediately when Sonia entered. "Good morning, Ma." "Morning," she said with her usual confidence. Then she gestured toward Benjamin. "This is Benjamin Okafor." They nodded politely. "He will be working with us," Sonia said plainly. Some eyes widened, some eyebrows lifted. One engineer whispered to another. Benjamin felt his throat tighten. "But Ma," one bold engineer began carefully, "we've never seen him before. What department is he joining?" Sonia gave a small smile. "Software engineering." The room went silent. Another engineer stuttered, "Ma, with all respect. Does he have experience? His appearance." Benjamin lowered his eyes, shame crawling up his spine. Sonia stepped forward calmly. "His appearance last night saved my life," she said, "and his experience is more than all of you combined." Everyone looked confused. "Benjamin," she said gently, "tell them your background." Benjamin swallowed hard and stood straight. "I worked as a lead engineer for EG Tech in South Africa," he said softly. "I built part of their security framework. I was supposed to lead an expansion team before I was framed." One engineer nearly dropped his tablet. "Wait, EG Tech? The global company?" Benjamin nodded. Sonia turned to her team, voice firm. "If anyone here underestimates him, you're underestimating me." Silence filled the room. Then the head of engineering stepped forward and offered his hand. "Welcome to the team, sir." Benjamin stared at the hand, then slowly shook it. His heart was pounding. For the first time in years, someone called him sir. After showing Benjamin around, Sonia led him to her private office, a large, bright space with glass walls and a view of the water. He stood in the center of the room, overwhelmed. "Sonia," he whispered, "why are you doing all this for me?" She walked closer, her voice gentle. "Because kindness deserves a reward," she said, "and because you were the only person who saw me when the world ignored me." Benjamin's chest tightened. "Sonia, I didn't help you because I wanted anything back. I helped you because you were cold." "I know," she said. She reached out and gently squeezed his hand. The touch sent warmth through his whole body. "Benjamin," she whispered, "this is only the beginning." Before he could respond, a knock came on the door. "Ma," her assistant said urgently, "you need to see this. It's about Benjamin." Sonia and Benjamin exchanged a confused look. "What about him?" Sonia asked. The assistant showed her a tablet screen. Sonia's eyes widened. Benjamin stepped forward. "What? What is happening?" he asked, heart racing. The assistant swallowed. "Someone posted a video of last night. You giving your coat to Sonia under the bridge. It's going viral, extremely viral." Benjamin froze. "What?" Sonia's heart dropped. And just like that, the peace of the morning shattered. Benjamin stood frozen, staring at the tablet screen in Sonia's hand. There he was, his face tired, his hair messy, his clothes soaked, gently wrapping his old, tattered coat around Sonia's shoulders under the Oshodi Bridge. Someone had recorded everything from across the road. In the video, he was saying softly, "Please sit with me on the bench. You need to be strong first." And then the moment the convoy arrived, black SUVs, headlights slicing through the rain, people gasped loudly in the background. Someone whispered in shock, "She's a billionaire. That man helped a billionaire." The video had millions of views already. Millions. Comments were pouring in. "This is the real definition of kindness. Give that man anything he wants. He helped her without knowing she was rich. God bless him. This story is a movie. Someone make it into a movie." Benjamin's knees felt weak. "Sonia, I didn't want attention," he whispered. I don't want people to twist the story." Sonia placed the tablet down gently and held his hands. "Benjamin, listen to me. No one is twisting anything. They're celebrating you." Benjamin shook his head slowly. "I'm not used to the world looking at me." Sonia stepped closer. "Then don't look at the world. Look at me." He lifted his eyes, and in that single moment, the noise outside the office disappeared. Only her voice, her warmth, her calmness remained. "You didn't help a billionaire," she whispered. "You helped a human being. And that is the most beautiful part of your story." Benjamin's throat tightened. "Sonia, what if people think I used you?" Sonia squeezed his hands firmly. "Anyone who thinks that doesn't know me at all, and they definitely don't know you." Silence settled gently between them. Then Sonia's lips curved into a soft smile. "Benjamin, everything is okay. You're safe." And for the first time in years, Benjamin believed those words. The days that followed were a whirlwind. News channels came to Benson Tech asking for interviews. Bloggers and online creators shared Benjamin's story like it was a miracle. Even international media picked it up. Homeless man saves billionaire CEO, kindness under the bridge, the modern-day fairy tale. But inside the mansion, life was peaceful. Benjamin worked with the software team and quickly proved himself. He fixed bugs that senior developers had struggled with. He wrote clean, brilliant code. He introduced new security ideas no one had thought of. Within months, the entire company whispered, "He's the best engineer we've ever had." He saved Madam's life, and now he's saving the company too. Eliana adored him. She called him Daddy Ben whenever she needed help with homework or when she wanted encouragement for school. And Sonia, she saw something in him that she hadn't felt in years. Gentleness, wisdom, loyalty, peace, love. Little moments became everything. Benjamin making tea for her before work, Sonia reminding him to rest because he worked too hard. Benjamin teaching Eliana coding after dinner. Sonia watching him like someone watching a miracle unfold. Before long, their hands began touching naturally. Their smiles lingered longer. Their conversations grew deeper. One night Sonia realized something strange. She no longer slept alone because Benjamin's presence filled the house with a warmth she thought she would never feel again. And Benjamin. For the first time since losing his daughters, he felt like family was possible again. One quiet evening, under the mango tree in Sonia's garden, where soft lights glowed above them, Benjamin suddenly dropped to his knees. "Sonia," his voice trembled, "I have nothing fancy to offer you, only my heart, my life, my loyalty, my love." Sonia gasped, her hands flying to her mouth as tears filled her eyes. "Benjamin," he continued, voice shaking, "you found me when I was broken. You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. You gave me a home. You gave me a place in your world. Please, let me spend my life giving you the same love you showed me." He brought out a small velvet box. A beautiful diamond ring sparkled inside. Sonia covered her face and cried. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, Benjamin, I will marry you." The household staff cheered. Eliana screamed in excitement and hugged both of them. It was the beginning of a lifetime. Their wedding was magical. Under a huge white canopy decorated with flowers, Sonia walked down the aisle with grace, wearing a stunning gown that shimmered like starlight. Benjamin waited at the front, wearing a sharp black tuxedo, tears already in his eyes. When the pastor said, "Benjamin, do you have something you want to say?" he nodded and took the microphone with shaking hands. The entire hall went silent. Benjamin breathed in slowly, then began. "I gave a tattered coat to a woman under a bridge. I thought I was helping someone who was suffering, not knowing she was helping me too." Everyone leaned forward. "That night, I didn't know she was a billionaire. I didn't know she owned a company. All I saw was a woman who needed warmth, and I gave her the only thing I had left." Tears flowed across the hall. "And today," Benjamin said, voice breaking, "I stand here as a man who has been given a second chance. Sonia, thank you. For seeing me when the world forgot me. Thank you for loving me when I had nothing left. Thank you for giving me my life back." People wept openly. Sonia wiped her tears, and they sealed their union with a kiss that felt like destiny folding itself around them. Time passed. Eliana grew stronger, smarter, more confident. At age 20, she got admission into aviation school, her dream since childhood. Sonia and Benjamin cried when they dropped her off. 3 years later, she walked out of the graduation hall in her pilot uniform, tall, beautiful, proud. "Mom, Dad," she shouted. Benjamin hugged her tightly. Sonia kissed her forehead with tears. Soon after, Eliana met James, a kind, brilliant chemical engineer. Their love grew beautifully. At their wedding, Sonia and Benjamin walked her down the aisle, side by side, proud and emotional. Benjamin whispered to Sonia, "Kindness brought me to you, and now it has brought us here." Sonia squeezed his hand, and together they watched their daughter begin a new life, their own story still glowing with the magic of a simple act of kindness. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.